She has just made an arrest. She watched a pickpocket work a crowd for an hour, and she caught him. Now she stands and waits because she cannot bring him in herself. No squad car, no radio. She has to wave down a uniformed patrolman to drive the man in because her department decided that part of the job was not a woman's to do. This is the 1950s policewoman. She took the same oath the men did. She carries a gun. And for her whole career, they will call this her proper place, the delicate work only a woman could do. Watch for the uniform at number 14, made with a girdle for a ceremony, not a foot chase, and the revolver at number 13 she was told to carry in her purse, behind the lipstick. Hit the subscribe button. This is a documented record. Number 20, the two lists. It started with a piece of paper before she ever saw a crime. When a city hired police, it kept two separate lists. One said patrolman, one said policewoman. They were different jobs under civil service, with different tests, different duties, and different pay. The work a woman did was not counted as the same work. A man and a woman could stand in the same building and take the same oath, and still belong to two lists that never crossed. He was hired to police the city. She was hired to police the women and children in it. Everything else in this countdown comes from that split. Once your name went on the second list, your limit was already set. The badge came later. The list came first. Nobody had to bar her from anything. The paperwork had already done it. Number 19, the degree he didn't need. To become a patrolman, a man passed the exam and showed a high school diploma or proof that he had served in the military. To become a policewoman in a department like New York's, a woman passed the exam and held a college degree. Read that again. The city asked for more education from the women it planned to use for less. He could come off a factory floor or out of the army. She needed 4 years of college and a diploma, and at the end of it, she was handed the same juvenile cases and the same filing. The higher standard was not a compliment. It kept the number of women small, and it made the few who got in grateful. She paid for more schooling and was trusted with less authority. Nobody ever wrote down why the woman needed the degree and the man did not. They did not have to. The two lists never had to explain themselves. Number 18, the academy she couldn't sit in. They trained her apart. In New York, men and women could not sit in the same police academy class until 1958. The recruit learning to be a patrolman and the recruit learning to be a policewoman were kept in separate rooms, taught a separate job, and aimed at a separate future. Same department, same oath, two different trainings. So from her first day, a woman never learned the work a man learned, and later she could be told she simply was not ready for it. This was not a scheduling accident. It was on purpose. Keep them apart in the classroom, and you never have to explain later why they ended up in different places. The line between them was drawn before she ever got the badge. She was sorted at the door. Number 17, the number they capped. A department did not hire as many women as it needed. It hired as many as it had decided to allow. Cleveland's Women's Bureau ran for half a century with a fixed limit of 50 officers, no matter how big the city grew or how heavy the caseload got. In other cities, women were brought on by quota, a set number of slots, and not one more. Think about what that means. A man's hiring rose and fell with the city's need for police. A woman's hiring was capped in advance, a small fixed number, and no more. She was not measured against the work. She was measured against a number someone had chosen years earlier. The quota was the whole point. It kept the door open just wide enough to say it was open. Number 16, the plainclothes years. For years, she did not look like the police at all. In Cleveland, the women of the Bureau wore regular clothes, could not drive the patrol cars, and were not given weapons. She could investigate a case, question a suspect, and take a child into custody in a plain dress, with nothing on her to tell the public she had any authority. When Cleveland finally gave its policewomen a uniform in 1957, the chief said it would be worn mostly for ceremonies, not for the street, for the photographs. A uniform tells people at a glance that you are the police. Take it away, and people are free to ignore her. She has to argue that she is really an officer at all. She had the authority. She just had nothing on her that showed it. The badge was in her bag, and the bag looked like everyone else's. Stop and notice what has happened so far. None of it is about a single crime or a single captain. A separate list. A degree he never needed. A classroom she could not enter. A limit set on her before she even applied. A uniform kept from her except for ceremonies. Every one of these was decided in an office, on paper, by people who never had to look her in the eye. Before she worked one case, the system had already sorted her into the smaller half of the department. What comes next is what that sorting was for. Number 15, the smaller badge. When she did carry a badge, it was made smaller. In Cleveland, the policewomen's badges were physically smaller than the men's, and their badge numbers were kept in the 3000s, a separate range that marked her at a glance as a different kind of officer. This was not symbolic. Someone sat down, designed a badge, and decided the woman's should be smaller. The badge is the one thing that tells people an officer speaks for the law. Hers was shrunk on purpose, so that even standing next to other police, she looked like less. She could hold it up in an emergency, and before she said a word, it told everyone she was the lesser kind. Nobody had to say out loud that she counted for less. They put it in the medal. Number 14, the girdle in the uniform. When the uniform finally came, look at what it was. Cleveland's first policewomen's uniform in 1957 was a navy jacket and skirt, a white blouse, white gloves, a string tie, a hat, pantyhose, and a girdle. A girdle handed out as equipment. Picture the man's uniform next to it, built to run, to fight, to carry a belt of tools. Hers was built to be looked at. White gloves do not survive a fight. A skirt does not let you run. Every morning she put it on, it told her what the department thought she was for. Not to chase anyone. To show up, look calm, and stand there looking the part. A uniform is supposed to get you ready for the worst thing that can happen on a shift. Hers got her ready for a photograph. They dressed her for display and called it a uniform. Number 13, the gun in the handbag. They gave her a gun, then refused to let her wear it on a belt. The New York policewoman was issued a black shoulder bag, and her revolver went inside it, next to a tube of red lipstick and a powder compact. The mayor, LaGuardia, made the joke out loud. "Use the gun," he said, "the way you use your lipstick. Don't overdo either one." So the weapon that could save her life sat at the bottom of a purse, under the makeup, seconds away when seconds were everything. A patrolman's gun sat on his hip, where his hand already was. Hers was in a bag, because a bag looked right and a holster did not. That was not just a joke. That was the rule. Her safety mattered less than the picture of a lady with a handbag. The gun was there. Her hand was not near it. Number 12, the matron's keys. Before she was ever called an officer, she was a matron, and the matron is where they wanted her to stay. The whole role grew out of guarding and searching the women and children held in the cells, the lowest work in the building. That starting point became the ceiling. A policewoman was steered toward the runaways, the wayward girls, the women in custody, the counseling, the caretaking nobody else wanted. It was real, hard work, and she did it well. But the department treated it as the most a woman could handle. The men worked the crime. She worked the people the crime happened to. They called it her gift, her special understanding, her feminine touch. But it was really a fence. She was allowed to do this work because it led nowhere. She could do it for 30 years and end up exactly where she started. Number 11, the shoplifting detail. Watch which crimes they handed her. Policewomen were sent after shoplifting, a crime the department thought of as almost entirely a woman's. She was sent to work with juveniles because people believed a motherly officer would calm a troubled kid. She chased truants and runaways and cracked down on what one old guidebook called salacious literature, meaning dirty books and magazines. Notice the pattern. Every crime they gave her was small. Shoplifting, kids, morals, minor offenses, the robberies, the killings, the big cases that made a career and made the papers went to the men. She never got the cases that led to a detective's badge. She got the ones that led back to the bureau. It looked like trust, but it was a loop. Every case she solved sent her right back to the same desk. Number 10, the abortion squad. Look at the shape of her days now. Dressed for a ceremony, carrying her gun in a purse, sent after the shoplifters, the runaways, the morals cases, the women in the cells, every job the department had quietly marked as women's work. This was not a random pile of odd assignments. It was one decision made over and over. Give her the people and the small crimes. Keep the felonies and the streets for the men. The work was real. The fence around it was the point. What comes next is what that fence cost her. Here is one of the strangest jobs they built for her. The Women's Bureau of the New York Police Department ran an all-female squad whose job was to investigate abortions back when the procedure was illegal in every state. Women officers were sent to gather evidence against other women and against the people who helped them in the most private corner of their lives because the department decided this was suitable work for a lady. She could move through that world exactly because she was a woman, and nobody suspected her. Being a woman was the tool. It was why they hired her and why they sent her to spy on other women's bodies. She was useful for the cases men could not easily work, and still none of it counted as the kind of police work that earned a promotion. They trusted her with this. They would not promote her for it. Number 9, the decoy. And then there was the job that used her body as bait. Policewomen were sent undercover to pose as prostitutes, standing on a corner dressed for the part, getting a man to proposition her so the male officers waiting nearby could make the arrest. She took the risk. She stood alone on the street as the target. And once the arrest was made, the case was theirs. And she went back to the bureau to wait until they needed a woman to play one again. Think about what that means. She was too delicate for patrol, too weak for a squad car, but exactly right to stand on a corner at night, alone, as human bait in a vice sting. The danger was fine. The authority was not. They would risk her. They would not promote her. She was a tool they took out when they needed a woman and put away when they did not. Number 8, the door that was shut. Some departments did not bother limiting the women they hired. They simply stopped hiring them. The United States Park Police brought on almost no new women through the 1950s and into the 1960s. So the few who were left slowly retired, with no new women coming in behind them, working in plain clothes with no badge at all. And when a woman did try to join later, she hit a wall of numbers, a minimum of 5 feet 8 inches and 145 pounds, standards that quietly screened out most women before anyone had to say no. When that height and weight rule was finally challenged, a federal review found no real connection between the size rule and the actual job, which was mostly directing traffic. The rule was never about the work. It was a closed door with a measuring stick nailed to it, so they could blame her body instead of their own policy. Number 7, the smaller paycheck. For all of it, she was paid less. Because the women sat in a different civil service class, their pay was set below the men's, even though the department had demanded higher standards to hire them in the first place. Hold those two facts together. She needed the college degree he did not. She cleared a bar he never had to. And at the end of the month, her check was smaller. The rule set it lower. Nothing she did changed it. It had nothing to do with how well she worked. The number was lower because the title was the women's title, and the women's title paid less. She was more qualified and paid less at the same time, on purpose, in writing. Nobody had to explain the gap. The rule explained it, and the rule was not up for debate. Number 6, the experience they wouldn't let her get. When she asked why she could not move up, they gave her an answer shaped like a trap. A policewoman could be promoted, they said, only inside her own women's unit, because she had not done real street patrol. She had not walked a beat. She had not done the real work, so she could not advance. But she had not walked a beat because the same men in the same department refused to assign her to one. They locked the door, then pointed at the locked door as the reason she could not come in. It is one of the oldest tricks there is. Keep someone from getting experience, then say the missing experience is why they can't move up. She could not get patrol without rank, and could not get rank without patrol, and the same men controlled both gates. The trap was not an accident. It was the whole point. By now the pattern is clear, the door held shut, the paycheck set lower. The promotion that required experience they refused to let her earn. None of it needed a villain. It only needed a rule and a reason, repeated until it sounded like plain common sense. What is left is the reason itself, the one claim underneath all the others, and the woman who finally dragged it into a courtroom and made it answer. Number 5, the strength they said she lacked. Under every one of these rules sat a single claim, repeated so often it stopped sounding like an opinion. A woman did not have the physical strength to do real police work. That was the reason given for the patrol ban, the promotion ban, the height rule, all of it. It was stated as a fact, and nobody tested it. Years later, when the courts finally looked, the claim fell apart. In one landmark case, a height and weight rule was shown to screen out more than 40% of women and fewer than 10% of men. The court struck it down. It was not a real job requirement. It was discrimination dressed up as one. Nobody had ever checked the strength claim against the actual work. They did not need it to be true. They only needed it to be useful. Number 4, the beat that wasn't hers. This is the heart of it. The rule, the whole system was built to protect. She could not go out on patrol. A woman officer could expect to spend her entire career at a desk in the bureau because the beat, the squad car, the radio call, the everyday work of answering a call and standing between people and harm was saved for men. Patrol is not just one duty among many. Patrol is policing. It is where you get real authority, where you earn experience, where every promotion starts. Keep a woman off patrol, and you have not just taken one task from her. You have blocked the whole path forward and handed her the title with none of the work. She was a police officer who was never allowed to be a police officer. For decades, this was not one biased captain. It was the written policy of American police departments. The beat was everything, and the beat was not hers. Number 3, the list that wasn't open. By 1961, Felicia Shpritzer had given the New York Police Department almost 20 years. She and 5 other women applied to take the exam for sergeant. They knew going in that the exam was not open to policewomen, and 2 weeks before the test, every one of their applications was rejected. The police commissioner, Michael Murphy, explained that women did not have the physical strength and endurance to be sergeants. 20 years of service answered with one sentence about her body. So Shpritzer sued. She called the policy what it was: discriminatory, archaic, and illegal, and she took it all the way to the New York State Court of Appeals. In June of 1963, she won. A court said what the department would not, that blocking a woman from even taking the exam after 20 years on the force was against the law. She did not ask to be handed a rank. She asked for the right to test for one, and the department had refused even that. Number 2, the stripes that supervised no one. So they made her a sergeant, and then they made sure it meant as little as possible. When the first 2 women finally pinned on the stripes, they were put in charge of policewomen, about 160 of them, and the announcement added a careful note: no policeman would be supervised by a woman. Look at what that does. Her promotion was real on paper, but they made sure it went nowhere. She could give orders to the policewomen who were already at the bottom, and to no man at all. So her new authority could never reach above the lowest level of the department. They had lost the fight to keep her out of the rank. So they redrew the rank to keep her away from the men. The stripes were real. The power behind them was cut away. They promoted her into a brand new dead end and told her to call it a milestone. Number 1, the policewoman who stayed a policewoman. Picture the woman this was all built for. She came in with a college degree the men beside her never needed. She passed the exam, took the oath, and carried a real gun in her handbag for 20 years. Her badge was in the 3000s, smaller than his. She was never given a squad car, never assigned a beat, never wore a duty belt. She worked the runaways and the shoplifters and the women in the cells, and she did it well, and it led nowhere, because the path that led somewhere was closed to her the day she was hired. She retired at the same rank she started, a policewoman, the title unchanged from her first morning to her last. And here is the quiet cruelty of it. She was not failed by one cruel man. She was failed by a filing system, by 2 lists and a job class and a set of rules nobody in charge had ever stopped to question. They gave her the word police. They kept the job. A woman who carried a gun in her handbag for 20 years and never wore a duty belt. She took the same oath as the men and retired at the rank she started. These departments were not run by monsters, but by ordinary men following the rules and a fixed idea of what a woman was for that no one questioned. It is all on the record. The Cleveland Women's Bureau files, the New York Police Archives, the court case of the woman who sued to take a test, the badge in the 3000 series, the gun in the purse, the exam she could not take. They called it her proper place, the delicate work only a woman could do. She had the 08th, the gun, and the training. They gave her the word police and kept the job. It took until 1968, a squad car in Indianapolis, 2 women who hid their guns in a maternity top because the belt still was not theirs, before it broke. Did your mother or grandmother wear a badge the world was told not to take seriously? Tell me what she was hired to do and what they never let her do.